You won't believe what just came out after the death of Ozzy Osbourne. While the world was still trying to process the heartbreaking news, his daughter Kelly Osbourne broke her silence. And what she said wasn't just emotional, it was shocking. In a voice full of pain, she admitted, "I lost the best friend I ever had." But let me tell you, that wasn't all. What came next turned into one of the most touching yet surprising tributes a daughter has ever shared. And this is where it gets interesting. The secret she revealed might completely change how people see Ozzy's final days. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, the face of heavy metal, and the wild heart of Black Sabbath, passed away at the age of 75. His death came as a huge shock to fans all over the world. But for his family, especially Kelly, this wasn't just about losing a rock legend. This was personal. This was painful beyond words. For days after his passing, she stayed silent. Not a single word on social media, no public appearance. And that silence made people wonder, what was she going through? Why wasn't she saying anything? Then finally, Kelly broke that silence. And the moment she did, everything shifted. She posted a single photo, no fancy caption, no long paragraph, just her holding her father's aged, tattooed hand. That image, raw and simple, told a story deeper than words, but the caption under it made the world stop and listen. She wrote, "I lost the best friend I ever had. My dad, my hero, my world." Those words went viral. Celebrities, fans, everyone. They started sharing the post, pouring their own emotions into the comments. But here is the shocking part. That post was just the beginning. What most people didn't know was how close Kelly and Ozzy truly were. Behind the fame, the headlines, and the wild reputation, there was a father and daughter who had been through everything together: addiction, rehab, fame, failures, and healing. Kelly didn't see him as the wild rock star. She saw him as her dad, the man who gave her piggyback rides backstage, who helped with her homework on tour buses, who sat in bed watching cartoons with her after long shows. He was her protector in her soft place in a hard world. But what made this story different was the part no one had ever heard before. Ozzy's health had been getting worse for a long time. Parkinson's disease, multiple surgeries, infections that kept coming back. But in the last 3 months, things went downhill fast. According to close family sources, he had lost most of his ability to move, he was in pain every day, and the treatment stopped working. That's when Sharon Osbourne, his wife, flew in top doctors and turned their home into a peaceful place for his final days. And in those final days, Kelly stepped up in a way no one expected. You won't believe this. She put her own life completely on hold. She stopped working, stayed home with him, and even moved back in to take care of him herself. She changed his clothes, managed his medication, and sat with him through sleepless nights. She wasn't just his daughter. She was his nurse, his caretaker, and his best friend. And she did it all quietly, away from the cameras, without a single word to the world. But the craziest part came later. Kelly revealed in a now-deleted podcast episode that she didn't make it in time to say goodbye. She had been flying home from a short trip when she got the call. Ozzy had passed. "I didn't make it in time," she said. That one sentence was full of pain, guilt, and heartbreak. But even in death, Ozzy's love for her remained strong. A few days after the post, Kelly shared something that stunned everyone. A voice message Ozzy had left for her just weeks before he died. His voice was tired and shaky, but it was full of love. He said, "Kelly, you're my sunshine. I know I was never the perfect dad, but you gave me more joy than all the stadiums in the world combined." That one message spread like wildfire across social media. People were crying, reacting, sharing their own stories about their dads. It wasn't just about losing a star anymore. It was about the quiet, painful goodbye between a father and daughter. After Kelly's heartbreaking post and the viral voice message from her dad, fans thought that was the end of it. But let me tell you, the real twist was still coming. You see, just when people were wiping their tears, Kelly posted something else and then deleted it almost immediately. A screenshot surfaced briefly from her Instagram story where she mentioned that Ozzy had left her a private handwritten letter in his final days. And not just her, he reportedly wrote one for each of his children. That post said, "He left me something I'll carry forever. His truth, his love, and a promise he'd always be with me." But the story vanished within hours. Why did she delete it? What was written in that letter? This is where it gets interesting. Some believe the Osbournes are holding on to these final letters for something bigger, maybe a future documentary or book. Others think the contents of the letters were too raw, too personal, or maybe even too painful to share yet. But one thing's for sure, it wasn't just a letter. It was Ozzy's last voice on paper, written by hand, while he still had the strength. Fans started asking questions. Was there something in those letters that the world wasn't ready to hear? Did Ozzy confess something we never knew? Whatever it was, Kelly clearly wasn't ready to let it all out. Not yet. And while the public was left guessing, the funeral plans were already in motion. But again, this wasn't what anyone expected. Ozzy's final wish shocked even some of his closest friends. He wanted no media, no cameras, and absolutely no celebrities. He asked for a quiet, family-only service in the countryside, far away from the spotlight that had followed him his whole life. Just love, music, and peace. That's all he wanted. According to sources, the funeral took place at a private estate in Buckinghamshire, where Ozzy spent his last few months. Kelly later confirmed that she sang at the service, and here comes the craziest part. She performed Changes, the same song they recorded together back in 2003. Witnesses said there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Imagine that moment, Kelly standing there singing to the man who had once carried her through her worst days, now gone. And yes, she didn't just sing it once. She sang it again and again during those last few days by his bedside, just like he asked. In one of their final conversations, Ozzy had told her, "I want that to be the last thing I hear." So she sang until he closed his eyes for the final time. That wasn't just a daughter honoring a request, that was love. Pure, painful, unforgettable love. But even that emotional goodbye wasn't the end. In a live stream after the funeral, Kelly shared something that felt like a turning point. She said, "I didn't just lose a father, I lost my compass. But I'm going to honor him by telling his story the way he told mine, without fear, without filter, and with fire." That single line, "with fire," told the world something big was coming. Kelly wasn't just mourning. She was preparing for something, a project, a documentary, or maybe the truth behind parts of her father's story that the world never knew. And right then, fans realized this tribute wasn't just about the past, it was also about the future. Ozzy may be gone, but through Kelly, his voice, his truth, and yes, his fire was still very much alive. After Kelly's emotional live stream, people started seeing her in a whole new light. This wasn't just a grieving daughter. This was a woman carrying the weight of a legacy, and she was just getting started. Behind the scenes, something powerful was taking shape. Family insiders revealed that Kelly had already started working on a deeply personal project dedicated to Ozzy. Something that wasn't just about music or fame, but about telling the real story of the man behind the legend. And you won't believe what she's planning. According to sources close to the Osbourne family, Kelly had been speaking to producers, bandmates, and even Ozzy's closest friends about putting together a documentary, but not the usual kind. This wasn't going to be about tour buses and bat-biting headlines. This was going to be about the father, the fighter, the man who suffered silently for years while still managing to be the light of his family's world. She wanted to tell the truth, all of it. The good, the painful, the moments no one ever saw, including private voice notes, unreleased songs Ozzy recorded during his final health battles, and even clips of Kelly caring for him during his worst days. And that's not all. Word began spreading that Kelly might return to music herself, something she left behind years ago, but this time it wouldn't be just for her, it would be for him. Insiders revealed that she had already spoken to a few producers about recording a tribute EP and even discussed a new version of their famous duet, Changes, possibly with a haunting, stripped down arrangement. She wanted it to be raw, emotional, and completely real. No filters, no edits, just truth, the way Ozzy always wanted it. But here's the part that really stunned people. Kelly wasn't doing all of this for attention or fame. In fact, after Ozzy's death, she stepped away from public life completely. She stopped attending events, didn't take any interviews, and focused fully on her son, her grieving mother, Sharon, and her own mental recovery. Friends said she was healing privately, but working silently behind the scenes, pouring all her grief, love, and memories into this one goal to make sure her father was remembered the right way. Meanwhile, the rest of the Osbourne family was trying to find their way forward too. Sharon, who has stood by Ozzy through decades of chaos, was now managing the legal side of his estate and music catalog. Jack, Ozzy's son, was reportedly working on a short film series, one that would explore his father's legacy from a spiritual angle. It was something the two of them had talked about during Ozzy's final year, about what comes after life, what legacy truly means, and what stories matter most. But through all this, one thing became very clear. Kelly was the fire. Ozzy had told friends many times that she was the one who had inherited his raw, unfiltered passion. And now that passion was driving her forward like never before. As one close family friend told Rolling Stone, UK, Ozzy always said, Kelly's got it. She's got the fight in her. Now that he's gone, she's using it not to become famous, but to protect him, to honor him, and to speak for him one last time. What makes this story so powerful is that Kelly is not doing what the world expects. She's not staying silent. She's not being proper or polished. She's being bold, broken, and completely real. And that's what makes people connect to her. Because in a world full of fake stories and half-truths, she's giving us the truth. The hard truth, the truth that hurts but also heals. Even after all the tears, the tributes, and the emotional posts, there was still something left in Kelly Osbourne's heart. Something she hadn't said publicly, but it echoed in everything she did. It wasn't just about grieving her father. It was about carrying him forward. And while the world saw a grieving daughter, what they didn't see was the strength behind those tears, a strength Ozzy himself had always believed in. In one of Kelly's last interviews before stepping away from public life, she said something that left a mark. My dad taught me how to survive. Now I have to teach the world who he really was. And that's exactly what she's doing. Quietly, but powerfully. Not through interviews or staged appearances, but through action. She's organizing never-before-seen footage from their family archives, collecting handwritten notes, tour memories, and even moments captured during Ozzy's last few months that were never meant for cameras until now. But the real twist, a close family friend revealed that Ozzy had secretly recorded a collection of unreleased acoustic songs during the quiet days at home, many of which Kelly helped him write. These songs weren't meant for charts or fame. They were personal, private, but now she's planning to release them one by one, a final album, not from the Prince of Darkness, but from the man who just wanted to be remembered by his children. You won't believe what's coming next. Kelly isn't just releasing the music. She's narrating the stories behind each song in her own voice. She's turning every lyric into a memory, every chorus into a message. In the most emotional track, a new version of Changes, featuring a short voice clip of Ozzy from one of their last recording sessions, a moment frozen in time, now shared with the world. And while the documentary and tribute album are in the works, something else began to happen. something Kelly never planned. Fans from around the world started sharing their own stories of losing parents. People who had never spoken about their grief found strength in her words. Her comment section became a safe space, a place of healing. That's when it became clear. Kelly wasn't just honoring her father. She was helping people find peace with their own pain. But the craziest part, all of this, the voice notes, the tribute songs, the documentary, it almost never happened. According to a family source, after Ozzy's passing, Kelly had planned to disappear completely. She had told friends she wasn't sure she could handle the public spotlight anymore. She wanted to walk away from everything. But something changed. It was a moment with her young son, who pointed at a photo of Ozzy on the wall and said, "That's Grandpa. He sings loud." That tiny moment hit Kelly hard because it reminded her Ozzy's story wasn't over, not yet. And now, because of her, it won't be. His voice will live on, not just in music, but in memories, in stories, in the fire she carries with her every day. Kelly isn't just keeping her father's legacy alive, she's building her own, side by side with his. One filled with truth, vulnerability, and a kind of love that doesn't fade when the music stops. So, the next time you hear an Ozzy Osbourne song playing in the background, remember, it's not just the sound of a legend, it's the sound of a father's love, a daughter's strength, and a story that didn't end with silence, but with a roar that echoes forever.